Hello traders and welcome to this real-time supply and demand video. In this video we're going to talk about the benefits and the application of using the real-time supply and demand in trading the YM. Before we do that, let's go ahead and get into the market vitals. The market name is the E-mini Dow Futures. The ticker symbol is YM. The roll cycle is quarterly, but if you'd like some more information on the roll cycle, then please click on the link located on this page. The tick value and the point value are the same at $5, consistent this market moves in terms of points. The cash open is at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. The cash closes at 4:15 p.m. Eastern Time. The night session, which is also tradable, is from 6 p.m. to 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. The important recurring events that can move this market is non-farm payrolls, ISM manufacturing and non-manufacturing PMI, PPI, CPI and core CPI, retail and core retail sales, core durable goods orders, consumer confidence, preliminary or final GDP numbers. As a reminder, trading does carry significant risk, and all information in this video is provided for educational purposes only and is not an offer or recommendation to trade future stocks, options, or Forex. Let's go and discuss the key features of the real-time supply and demand tool. First of all, it marks zones or areas of supply, extreme supply, or demand. You have the ability to customize to any chart type, any time frame, or any market, including futures, ETFs, stocks, and Forex. All right, let's go and get into a high-level overview of the real-time supply and demand on the YM chart. First of all, you'll notice the red zones and the green zones that you notice here. The red zones here, these are supply zones all through here. These green zones down here, these are all demand zones. Now, you'll notice that they are different colors here. These light red zones are zones that have been created and then later have been retouched. So it was created here and then retouched here, revisited, and it'll go ahead and change the color of those zones. These dark zones, these dark red zones here, are simply they have been created, they just simply haven't been retouched. These green zones are the same thing down here. These dark green zones, they've been created but have not been retouched. However, these light green zones have been created, price moved out of them and came back and retested them and then moved off here. Another thing that you'll notice with this tool is that you'll have this convenient button located right there on the chart that you can go ahead and hide these zones so it doesn't interfere with other analysis, and tells you how their zones are being calculated. So for instance, it says chart period, meaning that it is using 15-minute supply and demand zones. You can make adjustments to that as well, and I'll show you how to do that. So how can this indicator help you with your trading? The real-time supply and demand tool calculates imbalances from volume, blocks of volume, and order flow activity. Now this is an important distinction, is it's not simply looking at price. This is looking at taking volume into account along with price. This helps you measure and visually identify a key point within the market. Now here are the different uses you can use the real-time supply and demand tool with. Trade setups and triggers. So these zones here that are light red or they are light green, they have been retouched. What we like to use them as is, as you can see, they are being created here. We like to see price move away from them and very quickly come back into them, giving us a great trade opportunity to go ahead and take to the downside here for supply zones. Demand zone's the same one, actually triggered one here, two here, where you had the demand zone being created, price moved out of it, came back, revisited the demand zone here, gave us a great trade opportunity for a long here. Same thing here, demand zone was created, price moved out, came right back in, gave us a great opportunity to go ahead and get long here. Again, what you like to see is that the zone is revisited fairly quickly here. You don't like to see this amount of space from here into here. You'd like to see these kind of give a double top or a lower high here for a trade to the downside or a trade to the upside. So you can use this just by itself as a trade setup and trigger. Support and resistance. As you can see here, it can act as very good support and resistance, nice resistance as you can see here, and nice support area as you can see here. Now a lot of traders will go ahead and simply just use this as support and resistance as it gives some really great zones to go ahead and take advantage of. Risk to reward analysis. So this is another function is that, and I'll show you how to do this, but on the right hand side you can go ahead and see exactly how high or how wide these boxes are. But real quickly is that, as soon as you go ahead and take this long, you know exactly where to put your stop, which would be right below price here or right above the supply zone here for a risk reward analysis. Sentiment, right away that you can tell if you have a lot of red zones here that it is a bearish market. A lot of green zone, it's a very bullish market. But when you have a mix, like as you can see here, it's it's leaning more bullish here most recently, but it can indicate also a range bound market. So you can see sentiment very quickly using supply and demand. Now let's go ahead and transition to the chart, and I'll show you how to set this up. Start with a fresh and clean chart. I'm using a 15-minute, but you can use any time period that or chart type that you like. Going to go down to the NCAT tools. Look for the NCAT RSD. That's real-time supply and demand. Load it in the configured box here. And then once you're done, go ahead and hit OK. You can see that it loads up here pretty quickly. The button is also loaded up here. If you want to hide the zones, you can do that and do some other analysis or show them here. Really up to you. Now let's go ahead and right click and go back into the settings. The extend zone minutes here, if you click on this extend zone here, what that's going to do is it's going to extend that zone out. Let's go ahead and put it at 240. Going to extend that zone out by 4 hours here, 240 minutes. So what that'll do is help you with projections out here in the future. If you don't like that, you can go ahead and shut that off here as well. No weak zones here, so if you want to see weak zones, you can. Weak zones are more of a olive type of color here. I like to leave that unchecked or checked here because I don't like to see those weak zones. Recolor retouch means that when price moves away from this, if you want these to go ahead and recolor here on these retouch, you can go ahead and make sure that is checked. I like that, so I'll go ahead and leave that checked. Otherwise, they'll all stay dark green or dark red. Recolor weak retouch is the same thing. If you have weak zones and they get retouched, you can go ahead and have them recolor here as well. Time frame type and value, this is an important function here. So every time you change a chart time frame from 5 minutes to 60 minutes to 240, whatever you want daily, what you'll see is the corresponding supply and demand zone. So you'll see 15-minute zones if you're on a 15-minute chart, 5-minute chart, you'll see 5-minute supply and demand zones, the same thing for daily. However, what's very useful here, if let's say you go down to a minute, I'm going to go ahead and put this on a 60-minute. Hit apply, and what you're going to notice here is that these are all now 60-minute supply and demand zones. So whether I put this chart on a 5-minute or 30-minute or daily chart, these will always show me 60-minute supply and demand zones. So it's almost like having two charts into one. So very useful if you're on a lower time frame. You can have a higher time frame supply and demand zone here, and you'll notice on the label it'll say 60-minute. Tells you where it's calculating from. It's calculating from the 60-minute time frame. Go back to chart period and hit apply. It'll go back to its default setting where every time you change a chart, it'll change with the time period. Go ahead and put that back to 0. Input series, setup, and visual, you want to go ahead and leave the same. Colors, if you want to make any cosmetic changes, you can change the colors here. Draw text, this is another important function. Now, if you want to see in terms of risk reward how wide these zones are, go ahead and hit apply. Go ahead and make sure this zone height is checked. And you'll notice that it'll have the amount of ticks here that how high the zone is. So this is 108 ticks for the YM, 108 points wide. This one's 27 points, 26, 20, 35, 47, and 24. So it tells you right away how much you're going to have to risk if you take the full width of the zone. The far edge price, what this is going to do is now you have the main edge price here, 25,908. Telling you that it's 108 ticks of distance here, 108 points, same thing in the YM. And you can see the far edge here, it gives you the price, so this edge of the price here is 26.16. So it gives you, again, right away, you can go ahead and park an order here at 25,908, know exactly where to park an order here for a stop, and know exactly how much you're going to go ahead and risk. If you want an email, at any time a supply zone or demand zone is created, you can go ahead and make sure you put your email in the email address box. If you want the supply zones, make sure you go ahead and put your email in here. And the demand zone, same thing, put your email and password in. It's very important that you will not get alerted. If you just put your email in here, it will not get alerted to supply zone or demand zones. By putting your email in here, it goes ahead and turns on the function of sending that email out to you. So very important to go ahead and fill out all of these if you want the email. Alert on demand sounds and supply zone. So if you want an alert every time a supply zone or demand zone is created, you can go ahead and click on one of these alert waves and make sure you get an audible alert. Once you're done, go ahead and click OK, and you're all set and ready to go. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you found it helpful, and happy trading.